Good evening, Big Brother fans, or good morning for some of you that do not hear this until Thursday morning. It is Wednesday, August 9th, day 8 in the Big Brother house. There have been many famous day 8s, apparently, from what I saw from someone's tweet. I believe Scott, during Big Brother 4, threw a temper tantrum and was thrown out of the Big Brother house on day 8. There's been a couple others. I can't think of her name. Blonde hair that was in the she self-evicted in day 8 a few seasons ago. She was and then last year on day 8, Paloma was either removed or evicted herself from the Big Brother house. And today is another one of those days, day 8s. Today, Luke was removed from the Big Brother house. Now, I'm going to guess most of you already know this, although a few of you only listen to me for some crazy reason, and so you don't know. But yes, Luke is no longer in the Big Brother house. Let's talk about how we got there, okay? I will give you a brief play-by-play. I do not have timestamps. It has been that kind of a day. I haven't had a time to figure it out, so bear with me. I don't know if I even mentioned it this morning. I may have mentioned it this morning, but I'm not even sure. All right, so sometime last night, Luke and Hisam and Jared and Corey were in the, quote, have-not room along with Hisam. So there's 4 of them there. I believe they're the 4 have-nots. They were talking in the have-not room. And I personally did not watch the entire segment, the entire clip, although I've watched a slightly longer one than I had originally seen. But in it, Luke is kind of talking, and he's joking. And he's trying to talk like me and my buddy are going or went down to the blank room or whatever. But instead of saying the word buddy, he said the other word that starts with an N, and that word that, as a white person, he should never say. And he said it. Now, I want to be clear, and again, I may have talked about this a bit this morning, I'm not sure, but I thought about it all day long, so I'm a bit muddled on exactly who I've talked to, when I've talked to. We talked about it at lunch, before Luke was removed. Luke was removed at about noon Big Brother time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. So at lunchtime, nothing had happened yet, but it was, a firestorm across the internet. And I had plenty of conversations online and offline with some people. And so, anyways, so the way Luke said it, it was casual. It was just said as if he was saying, just another word. I'm not going to say there. In my opinion, there was no ill will in it. That doesn't matter, by the way. It doesn't matter how, quote, innocent it was. Okay, let me make that 100 billion% clear. It does not matter how innocent him saying it was. How he just kind of let it slow out there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The line has been drawn in the sand. It has come down to this now. It's like you can't use that word anymore as a white person. You really can't. And I am 100% fine with that. You just can't. I realize there are people listening to me that are right now, but you don't mean it, and but they say it, but it's like, no, you can't. No, never. No, there's no excuse. Can't do it. Just can't do it. And I'm kind of burnt out on arguing the point with people. Either you get it or you don't get it. And if you disagree with me and you've heard all the arguments and you still disagree, then we're just not going to see eye to eye on it. But it wasn't right. He shouldn't have done it. All right. Enough preaching, enough proselytizing. Yes. Enough of that from me. Point is, he shouldn't have said it. As soon as he said it, he realized he shouldn't have said it. He caught himself and he switched and he said dudes. He said, I meant to say dudes. And then he actually said I was going to say narwhal. Like, that made it any better. He said that to Jared, and Jared was just like, nah, get out of here. Now, Jared said he wasn't mad. Jared said he's no big deal. Jared kind of let it go, but that's the thing. There are people that will just, even if it does bother them, they just say, no, don't worry about it. Even if it does bother them, they're just like, I'm not making a wave about it, forget it, doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter that Jared was okay with it, even if Jared was okay with it. It just doesn't matter. So the people that I've read, there's been so much going on online to understand this. The people online that say, I have friends that say it's okay. And it's like, well, I'm glad that you have a friend, a person of color, that says it's okay. There's a lot of other people of color that say it's not okay, and so guess what? It's not okay. That's just that. And so, again, what you say to your friends in the privacy of your own home, what you say to your friends of color when it's just you and them, whatever. I know we don't have some, language police out there monitoring things privately, but in public, in front of other people, if you say these things, you're going to get called out on it. It's going to look bad. If you do it on Big Brother, you're going to get kicked off the show, which is honestly something they've needed to do for a long, long time. And we've kept saying that, and it's kind of, they kept burying it. The biggest one was when Erin came out after she said that. And by the way, let me be clear. What Erin said, Erin said more than one thing during Big Brother 15. And Amanda even said a couple things that were totally inappropriate. But what Erin said in Big Brother 15 was much more condescending. She didn't use that word, but she said a couple of other things. One of them was against folks of Asian descent. And it just was said in a really, it was said that wasn't cool. It was meant to be said as an insult. What Luke said last night, it wasn't meant as an insult. It was meant as like a friendly kind of a thing, but it doesn't matter. It still doesn't matter. It went from the, you can't use it. You can't use it with the hard R to you can't use it. Just it makes it a lot easier now. Just know that you can't use it. So what I was saying was, Erin, when she came out of Big Brother, out of the house, Julie kind of raked her over the coals, and it was kind of like, they're finally making an example of people who are doing this and do all this, and yet it still happened every once in a while, and nothing ever major happened, and it was just like they just know anything. They just don't enforce the rules. They aren't doing what they say, and they finally did. This was the final. They finally did it and said, you know what? No, we're done. So yeah, all right. I feel like, why am I doing this to you guys? You're listening to me, and you're either just like going, okay, I've heard enough of this, or you're nodding your head in agreement. Point is, Luke was pulled from the house. Production obviously made the decision. They put out a public statement about it and saying, he broke the rules, and we're not allowing that this year, and so he's gone. That will probably be their standard from now on, going forward, which is great. At least now we know. And, the live feeds are live. They are catching things, and the viewers will catch things that maybe the staff doesn't catch, for better or for worse. Now, what's going to happen is at some point down the road, there's going to be somebody who mumbles something and nobody's quite sure, and half the internet's going to freak out and say they did say it. The other half's going to say I didn't hear it, and then CBS is going to have to come in and say we really didn't hear it either, or we did hear it. It's going to get messy. At some point, that'll happen down the road. I don't know when. But for now, at least we know that they are enforcing that rule. Now, I said what's going to be interesting to see is how they go about enforcing any of the other rules. And one of my online Twitter buddies, Cleo the Leo, said, well, this is different. This is a totally different level of rule breaking than other things. And I agree. Totally. There's rule breaking that is punishable by a penalty vote or for this or that, and there's rule breaking that is punishable by getting kicked out of the house. She's totally right, and I agree. However, they've been lax across all rules. That's my point. They have been so lax across all rules. We would get evidence of people sneaking food, of breaking rules, of doing things they weren't supposed to, and they just never did it. They never enforced any of it. So let's hold CBS accountable and say, you're going to enforce every rule. And if somebody says another thing they shouldn't say, they'll get called out for that too. And so, yeah. Anyways, that is the news. And the feeds have been off since then. So the feeds went down about, maybe it was a little bit earlier than 3 o'clock. I was working. And I'm not even home yet from work today. I had other errands to run. So I'm not sure exactly what time they went down, but about 12 o'clock Big Brother time is when the announcement came out that he had been removed from the house. So the feeds have not come back on as of 6. Right now it's 6:45 Big Brother time. So they've been down for roughly almost 7 hours. And the question is, are they coming back? Are they coming back tonight? Are they coming back tomorrow before the show? Or are they coming back tomorrow after the show? I'm almost going to guess. I thought they might come back tonight, but I really do think they're going to wait and not bring them back until after tomorrow night's show, which is what they did with Paloma. But then the question is, are they going to have an eviction? Is Kirsten going to get evicted? And we don't know. And I compared it to last season when Taylor was on the block and was very likely to get evicted, and Paloma was withdrawn, and they decided not to carry on with the eviction. Now, the difference in this case is that Paloma was part of this backstage crew, and so she was technically, theoretically, possibly eligible to get evicted. But Taylor was on the hot seat. Taylor was getting evicted. And so it's kind of a bit of a fine line that you're hair splitting to say that, well, they shouldn't stop the eviction of Kirsten because it was not the same circumstances as they had with Taylor. I don't know. I think they've got 100 days to do this show. Unless they have more people coming into the house that we don't know about yet, they're going to have a hard time if they lose more people, right? They got to evict. Even evicting one person a week, they're going to end up with a lot of time to fill. At least a couple of weeks that they're going to have to either do a battle back or they're going to have to do something to stretch it out. So, I think that they're going to cancel the eviction. Now, then that opens up the whole next can of worms, which is, okay, now what do you do? Because Riley went through this whole week. Does Riley get to compete in the next head of household? Which she should. They should just wipe the slate clean and say, and Riley, you do get to compete in the next head of household. Of course, she's not going to want it, but at least give her the opportunity to compete. We'll see tomorrow night, for sure. Until then, we can speculate, and that's what everybody's doing online. What else? What else is there to talk about? I mean, that's the problem now. You've heard my talk. Really, nothing major went on this morning before this happened. So my talk this morning kind of filled in the rest of those blanks. I don't think there was anything. There's another whole rumbling going on about Cameron and Riley still, but I talked about that this morning. I know I did. So we're not gonna go down that road again for now. But just know that, yeah, I'm not sure what's happening. My prediction would be that the feeds are off until after the live show, and that they decide to let Kirsten stay. Even though, again, people would argue that they haven't done that in the past, and the reason they did it with Taylor was because Paloma did have a chance of possibly getting evicted, but they really didn't want to evict Paloma, or they really didn't want to evict Taylor. That's the reason Taylor stayed, because the internet was freaking out. And so they conveniently decided to not evict Taylor when Paloma left. Again, others would argue that that they've been consistent, but they also didn't have 100 days to deal with. And I think that makes a difference this year. So we'll see. I'll be fine either way. I will be fine if they let Kirsten stay. I'll be fine if they get rid of Kirsten. There's people out there screaming, saying she made her bed, she played horrible to start with. Da, da, da. Well, you know what? Part of my talk this morning was about how they should fix the game so that people don't have to hit the ground running full steam the first 2 hours in the house. I would like to see them change that format and start the house guests where they have at least 1, if not 2 days of no pressure, where they just live in the house with their fellow house guests and hang out and get to know each other before they take off the gloves and fight for head of household. That's my take on it. I don't think it'll happen. To expound on that, for those of you that didn't hear my podcast this morning, you may want to listen to it after this, but what I said was they should fire up the live feeds and have the house guests enter on the live feeds like they did for Big Brother Over the Top. So you have the house guests enter for the live feeds, on the live feeds. We get to see them on the live feeds for the first couple of days, and then they do a live premiere episode where we get to watch them do the head of household competition, and the TV viewers get to join us after we've watched them for a couple of days online. There's they shouldn't worry about the ratings anymore. It just seems to me like they finally accepted that they don't have to worry about the feeds taking away from the ratings, that people will still watch. Whether it's because not many people watch the live feeds, or it's because the fans are so rabid that they still watch even though they watch the live feeds, which that's me. I mean, I will watch, I still watch the TV show even though I watch the feeds. Now, I say that having yet to watch tonight's show, but I will watch tonight's show when I get home. By the way, for those of you, again, listening to this late or tomorrow, all I know is what I heard online, which was that Izzy got 0 diary room appearances. Luke also got 0 diary room appearances, which doesn't surprise me. But Izzy got 0, which truly surprises me. And very apparent little screen time on the show, which really surprises me because Izzy has been the, quote, star of the first few days of Big Brother to me. But, of course, they have to tell a story. They have to show the Power Veto competition and the Power Veto. And part of everything, so if they didn't show the Power Veto ceremony tonight, which I don't know if they did, but if they didn't, then they ended the show before the Power Veto ceremony. Man, but they I'm trying to think when did that conversation, see, I think the conversation and stuff between Izzy and Riley and all of them, if that happened before, that happened after the nominations of the Power Veto ceremony, I think. So in the wacky world of CBS timeline, there's things that have gone on that just haven't even entered their timeline yet. In theory, today's show should have ended with the Power Veto competition, with the Power Veto ceremony. I don't know if it did or not, but assuming it did, that was Monday afternoon. We're on Wednesday, and the meat of the drama with Izzy and others really has started to wind up since that meeting. So if they're being true to the timeline, they haven't had a chance to show that stuff yet. And now they're going to have to try to squeeze any of it in. I think, you know what? I really don't think they're going to do an eviction because they have so much material that they can milk for a story. They can, and if they have plans, that's the other thing. We don't know what plans they had for the twist. There's some kind of twist getting revealed tomorrow night. There is some kind of twist getting revealed tomorrow night, and we don't know what it is, but it has to be revealed. They haven't showed the memory ball yet. Now they have a perfect opportunity. If the people said the reason they were waiting to do it was they were waiting until we were down to 16 house guests. If that's the reason, well, they're already there now. They can reveal the house guests. They can reveal the memory wall without Luke on it because he is now persona non grata. He will not be invited back for the reunion. He will not be invited back on the show. He is donezo with Big Brother. He is going to drop off the face of the earth as far as people seeing him and stuff. His socials are probably going to go away. He's going to just disappear because for better or for worse, he's crossed some pretty angry people that don't like to when you say those kind of things. So yeah. All right. I think I'm done. I'm driving home. It's almost 10 o'clock at night my time. And yeah, so I hope I filled you guys in. Key points. Luke's been removed from the house. We don't know if the feeds are coming back, and we don't know if there's going to be an eviction. My prediction is the feeds will not come back until after tomorrow night's show, and we won't get an eviction. So we'll see if I'm right. And I'm not the only one guessing that, so it's not like I'm some genius. I'm just guessing that because it just seems logical. Plus, again, like I said, with all the stuff they need to show for the past couple of days, not having a vote and a head of household competition, although they could do the head of household competition tomorrow night, that's true. But not having an eviction will free up a good 10 minutes of TV time to tell more of their story or to tell more of whatever. So, all right, that's it. I am done. Thanks for listening. Thanks for checking this out. Thank you to my patrons. Thank you to all of you for listening and all that good stuff. And with that, I'm hitting the button and saying so long. Adios. Bye.